everybody, how are you? Welcome to Art Talk Tuesday. I know it's a little bit late, but I figured you're all probably enjoying your lunch, so it's okay that you got to see some of the great stuff on the counter already. For those of you that don't know me yet, my name is Jackie G, and I'm with Gwartzman's Art Supplies here in Toronto. We're located on Spadina Avenue, one of the best places in the city to visit. We're between Chinatown and Kensington Market. We've got U of T to the north. We've got to the east AGO. We've got so many great places around us to visit if you're ever in the neighborhood. If you can't visit us, and I'm going to wave now because I always hear that people are waving hello. So I'm going to wave and say hi to everybody in Canada, North America, United States, and beyond. So welcome. Thanks for tuning in. So if you can't check us out in the store, which I'd love to see, for you to see our old floors, our posters on the walls and the ceiling, you can check us out online at our website, gwartzmans.com. Anything that I show or talk about, of course, is always on the website. If you have any questions, reach out to us. You know, here on Instagram, you can always send us a message and I'll try and answer it. We do post. You can reach us by just speaking to our staff if you like. You know, we still answer the phone, believe it or not, or any other way that you communicate through social media or online. So there's always something that I want to talk to you about and things that inspire me when I'm seeing what are trends or what's new in the industry or things that I want to share with you, things that make me think. That's to me always the idea. So recently there was a post, an Instagram post from the Van Gogh Museum, and it was of all of the sketchbooks that Van Gogh used. Apparently there were hundreds. Now they didn't show what the insides were, they were actually just showing these gorgeous leather sketchbooks. And I got to thinking about what an artist, what we use as a book or a sketchbook to inspire us. What makes us, you know, for a new year, like we've just started the new year. What gets us going? What are we preparing for? Now, the past couple of years are probably things that we don't want to think about anymore. I know that I've talked to some of our staff on what they've been doing, what they're looking forward to for 2023. So that was kind of the thing that I wanted to talk to you about, you know, how we're going to start 2023. Now, I will tell you right away, you always see me with my notes, and of course I have notes for today. But my problem is I have a lot of books. And of course, being in an art supply store where I have the opportunity to test out all the great pads, I try a lot of different pads. Now, I don't always complete all the pads that I have. I don't know about you. I move between a lot of different pads. I also get to check out all the pens. So I love colors. I have Upteen, today is purple. Yesterday was probably brown, but I get to experiment with all the different colors. And sometimes I'll even tell you about some of my favorite new pens that we've discovered that I like to sell, because if I like them, then I think you might like them too. And sometimes I'm pretty good at picking. But, you know, we're all different in what we do. And so I wanted to talk to you about that today, you know, the type of things that we keep in our studio, the things that get us going. And some of the things that I wanted to also tell you about is that in spite of everything else, I think that there's a lot of things that are still very old school, and old school still sticks. I know there's a lot of a trend now, and some of you will, of course, agree, and some of you, I'm sure, are using iPads and computers to, you know, do your artwork or write your notes and things like that. But I still believe that there is a huge trend towards the old school, sticking to the traditional methods of still writing our notes, doing our drawings. You know, we're going to showcase some of our staff, what they use, just to show you that artists still use old school, still use the books and things, because we're tangible. We like to put our ideas down on something concrete. Still not sure that the computer is quite there yet to make the change. Of course, that will change everything for art supply stores too, but I think we're still at the beginning of that change. I still think that there's something for all of this traditional material. So before I get started, I did want to mention something that's coming up. For those of you that are familiar or are not familiar with Toronto Urban Sketchers, they're a really cool group of people that get together and sketch outdoor spaces here in Toronto. They have all kinds of meetups. You can check them out on Instagram. I know that they have their own Instagram page. Anyways, they're having a show and sale next week, next Tuesday, January the 17th. It's at Origin Coffee, which is on Mount Pleasant. I don't have all the full deets, but you can surely check it out on their Instagram feed, which is Toronto Urban Sketchers. And if you have any questions, I'm sure you can find them, and or we can share it next week, because I'm sure they're going to be emailing me or letting me know what other information that we need to share with you. If anybody has anything interesting that's coming up that you want us to, mention in our Instagram, communicate with us. Let us know what you've got going on, or if you're with a group that is doing something. It's really great that we in the industry can share with you and with other artists of what's happening. So again, what I wanted to talk about is just going over what people have in a studio. Now, I don't have everything here. Number one, it would sort of be like walking through the store and showing you everything. I like to pick out all the interesting stuff that I still think that, are still totally old school. Some things were actually sold out of, so that's why you may not see it on the table. I still have a love for a lot of the old school tools that really are still around. And if you go to some of the designer places, you're going to see them there where they've sort of moved them to what they say is like new old school, but really we've been using them forever. So of course we always have our new sketchbooks. Now you may love lined, you may love blank. This is a new one out of bamboo paper, newish for us, from Hanimal. So if you're looking for something and you want something that's recycled paper or something that's vegan, this is where things have changed a little bit, where you can get things that are, more environmentally friendly. There's a real move, which a lot of you have seen, to that in art material, so it's kind of cool. But that being said, I showed you, I usually write on lined or dotted. I do not do well in blank paper, and also being left-handed, I find that my hand just trails everywhere. So I stick to the line for me. And of course, cheap and cheery, you've got the Rhodia, which come in the line to the graph, which I have also used, dotted. So you've got so many versions of things that I'm sure you're all using just to keep your ideas down. As I say, some of my staff will use books like this, where not only will they write, but they may do their sketching. And maybe that's what you're doing, and I think that's great. I think we just have to do more of it. I also was telling my staff, often I'll just write a lot of notes on my phone, just so I don't want to forget, because that's the closest thing I have with me all the time. I don't want to depend on it, but it's certainly always there. And of course, then going into old school tools, things that we're going to have. So it could be a viewfinder, which you may take outside when you want to capture that moment and then get it back to your studio. They still use color wheels. We still have programs where they're using color wheels because, a lot of things on the computer, the colors just don't translate well. It's just like trying to shop for colors when you're buying it online. Honestly, I think the easiest way is really, for me, I think, to go to an art supply store and choose your colors, because that way you really get to see the intensity of the color, the vibrancy, things that you're not going to get to see when you're shopping online. But we have all different types of color wheels that are still, as I say, old school, but you know what? These tools still come in handy, and they're really not that expensive that you can't take it with you. I grabbed this set just to show you again, and this is just showing, all these tools, old school. I have a nephew who's really gotten into art, and it's just amazing to see that this under 10-year-old has taken books out of the library, and he's just being inspired by everything to use. And we were talking about tools. Now, he doesn't have this one yet. I'm going to make sure that he gets one. But we were talking about, using Q-tips and things like that, and he was having a great time experimenting. But again, stumps and tortillons and, sanding block, they've been around forever. And so there's still tools that really come in handy, that you still really need them if you want to get something from your pencil or your paper, or removing any of that. Still can't replace, some of the erasers that are just been around forever either. And I didn't grab any erasers, so that's because nobody makes any mistakes. So we're not removing anything from our paper. again, you know, just showing you, I remember being in a store, and I know I've got one out here, you know, bulldog clips, right? These things that we all have to have in our studio. I saw them in some designer store, and they were selling them as, you know, some fancy clip that you can either use, you know, on your coffee table or something, and I thought it was hilarious because they were obviously charging a lot more. And here we keep all these different kinds of tools that are really handy, and sometimes you may not even, you know, think about that you could use it more than just as clipping your paper. You could use it to hold something to your easel or to your sketchbook or anything like that. So again, you know, totally old school and very useful. One of our staff loves using this one, and this is a Kiekerland product, and when we brought it in, he absolutely went crazy for it. So if you love doing miniatures, I don't know if it's going to show well on the table here, but this is something you can do in front or to the side. You could have it beside your easel or on your drawing table, and if you're looking to do something that's smaller, you know, it just enlarges it. It's just a really cool tool. You know, these things don't have to be expensive. As I say, there's some things I'm sold out of, and I'm sorry that I didn't have it here to show you, but we'll probably do an extended story about some of those items at another time once they arrive, and then I can set them up and they'll look really, really great. You know, clutch pencils, they're still popular, and this is a gorgeous brass one from Kaweco. And you know what? I've always loved these holders, that nice large lead where you can, you know, go crazy just extending it and doing whatever you like. Or the, you know, these are from Kohinoor, and this is, you know, again, sort of a remake of an old school, their technical pen. This one's made for drawing. You know, technical pens, I remember for years, when all the years that we sold them, I thought they were a great tool. I also was the one that got to clean them for everyone that let their ink dry in them. But you know what? Again, something that's a really neat tool to have. I wanted to show these because I don't think everyone always knows about them. These are from Lyra, and they make these really interesting drawing sticks. Now, this one happens to be 9B, and if you can imagine, a lot of us are familiar with 6B. I know that in Faber-Castell, they've come out with some 12B. These actually go up to 12B. This one is water soluble. Can you just imagine wetting that, putting down a 9B, and how black that's going to be on your paper? Just a really interesting tool to add to your mixed media. Again, these aren't too expensive. These are about $2, so it's really cool to try it. This one is their solid graphite. So we're talking something you can really grab and hold in your hand. And these come in all different types. So again, something that's a little cool, you know, still totally old school. And then you get into your large format charcoal. I'm just going to open it. I didn't want to leave it sitting open while, because things can break. But just want to show this to you from Nitram. And that is a brick of charcoal. Like, that is just, wow. I just would love to just sit today and just draw totally with that on some big piece of paper, and no one's there to judge me, so I don't really care, and just have a lot of fun. But that is something, again, you know, very old school, but very current, because Nitram has made a huge comeback on the charcoal spectrum. So if you're looking for something and you just want to get in and make a mess, that's totally the way to go. And you'll notice that only the bottom is wrapped, because as artists, we are supposed to get our hands dirty. That's the whole idea behind it. I mean, how many artists do you see with clean pants? All of you know that. Everybody else should know it too. So I just left out a lot of tools that you may see, you know, palettes that you may have. This is a sort of, you're probably all familiar with it, Gray Matters by Jack Richardson. Now, there are companies that have come out with them. They were probably the first one. And the whole idea was, because we're all familiar with the strip palette that has the white paper, they came out with gray to give it that neutral tone. So it's a really, you know, a remake of something old school that is now very current. You know, using the Stay Wet palettes or butcher trays. I mean, butcher trays have been around forever, but they're still around. They're still popular. Just a couple things that I wanted to also show you. All the cleaning tools, you know, the bamboo mats, you know, things like that. Now, this is something that I'm not sure, and I'm trying to make sure it's on our website. These are wipeout, well, we call them wipeout tools. And I'm going to open it for you so you can see it. Now, this is actually a pottery tool. Believe it or not, we sell these for pottery. But years ago, it was pointed out that this is actually a great artist tool. Now, I can't really show it to you, but I'm going to explain it, that the tip here is quite hard. So even pressing on it, it's not giving me any kind of give. It's the same thing with this other end. This one has a little bit of flexibility to it, but it's still the shape that you can see, either like that, where it's got the wedge, or the pointed. And what this is used for is picking up your excess acrylic. It's a really cool tool, and because this is rubber, your acrylic doesn't stick to it. Now, if you get it on the metal, you'll just get it off, or you'll peel it off or something. But it's just a very interesting. Hey, Bill, how are you?
I'm good, Jackie.
Good, thanks. So this is just kind of cool to use something like that. Again, not expensive, kind of cool. They come also with the point like that too, which you could probably use for picking up your acrylic. But of course, the rubber is the most popular, and so it's something neat to check out. I also just wanted to show, these are new from Gamblin, so anybody who's a fan, Gamblin added these new tools just a couple months ago. So we've now brought them in, so if you're looking for something made by them in a painting knife, they've got some really interesting designs, and you can certainly check them out. We also have, all kinds of, scrapers and all of the catalysts from Princeton, so all different types of stuff. I mean, this year we'll probably be bringing in a lot of interesting tools just to keep it useful, things for your studio. We also have the old school. This is from Whiskey Painter, which I've shown before, and these are made for cleaning. So the whole idea is that you're not having to throw out all your cleaner all the time. It keeps your brushes from sitting directly in the medium itself. Easy to keep clean. Oh yeah, this is a couple other things I just wanted to show you. Now, this crazy looking thing here is actually a dry erase pad, and it is filled with eraser shavings. And the whole idea with this is that you scrunch it up, you get it nice and soft and going. And so when you're doing your drawings, and I'm left-handed, so I know totally what it's like, you tend to smear or rub or, just create that ghost look. Well, the whole idea is with this type of thing, it takes it off softly. We often use these for cleaning, papers here if we have to, or for our own use in our own studios. They're a very, very handy tool. And we have these in the store, as I say. These things aren't expensive, and it's just a kind of a cool tool just to keep around. And then we've got, different brush stands, and I'm looking at so many new stands for this year. And I know I've seen some of you that are making your own. There's some really, really good stuff out there that everybody's making. But if you can't make it, there's still some that are quite affordable for you to, use for your brushes. Because, that's very important. Oh, mall sticks. Now, I didn't set this up because then it always looks kind of funky. But you know what? Old school mall sticks. And I've seen online on Instagram where I've seen some artists struggling to try and, hold their hand while they're painting to keep it steady. This is the old school, still works, mall stick. We also have the bridges. Unfortunately, we're sold out of a lot of them. But again, the bridges are great. We use bridges here for display and for all types of other things. But again, for standing, for putting something on it, old school, still current. So I think I've given you a lot to think about. There's tons of stuff on this table that, I wanted to put out just for you to see it. As I say, I could take you through the whole store and talk about old school mediums and all that kind of thing. There's new things that are happening always with mediums, but that will be for another day. So for today, I just want to make sure that I've talked about everything that I want you to have. You see, I still resort to my notes, and I know I shouldn't be looking down, but I have to. Otherwise, I'm going to be rude and put the paper in front of you. Well, that's it for today. I want to thank you very much for tuning in with me. I really love connecting with all of you. There are going to be a couple trade shows coming up. I can't wait to share with you all the new things that are arriving, all the new things that I'm finding out, all the new trends that we're seeing. What a great year it's going to be. So until next week, I look forward to seeing you again. Thanks for tuning in, and please keep on creating. Have a great day. Bye-bye for now.